Welcome to the annual meeting of the American Finance Association and Presidential Address. This may be the first time in the 81 years of the association that we have not met in person, but at least we have the ability to do a virtual conference in which to meet. My name is Jim Schalheim, and I am the AFA Executive Secretary and Treasurer. I will begin the business portion of the meeting. First, I'd like to recognize the results of the 2020 election. For President, John Graham. For President-elect and 2022 Program Chair, Laura Starks. For Vice President, Marcus Brunemeyer. And the three new directors are Victoria Ivashina, Andrew Caroli, and Laura Veldkamp. I'd like to thank the nominating committee and all the candidates who ran for office. Many thanks go to our outgoing board members for their service: Pierre Colin Dufresne, Mara Facho, Itai Goldstein, and Peter DeMarzo. Next, I'd like to address the finances of the AFA. We continue to increase our assets due to capital gains on the AFA portfolio. Total assets were $22.1 million as of the end of our fiscal year, June 30th, 2020. This represents a gain of over 3% from the previous year. Our net income, including investment income and unrealized capital gains, was over $500,000. I am disappointed to report that our preliminary membership numbers for 2020 show a decrease of about 3.8% in total members from 2019. However, total membership of the AFA still remains at nearly 12,000. I would like to mention a few of the activities undertaken by the AFA in 2020. As you may have seen, the AFA commenced 2 surveys this year with the help and guidance of AFEC, the Academic Female Finance Committee. One study is called the COVID-19 survey, and it has been completed, and analysis of the results is underway. The other is called the climate survey, and survey forms are still being completed. Please do complete the survey if you receive an email request. We have begun the development of the AFA's own membership management system. We hope to create an improved system that will be more useful to members and the association. And in this difficult job market for PhD graduates, the AFA has created an opportunity for postdocs. You can find what is called the Finance Postdoc Career Connections in the Career Center portion of the AFA website. For your information about future AFA meetings, the ASSA will meet in Boston in 2022 and New Orleans in 2023. Finally, I'd like to thank all the AFA officers and board members for their outstanding service to the profession. And I would like to especially thank our administrative manager, Annette Clark, for all her hard and thoughtful work on behalf of the AFA. I now turn the annual meeting over to AFA President Ken Singleton.
Thank you, Jim. Let me also extend my welcome to everybody to the 2021 AFA meetings. I'd like to start with a big thank you and shout out to John Graham for organizing an outstanding virtual conference this year. When we realized we were going to have to be remote and to go virtual, John jumped to the task and working with the AFA team and his program chairs, they've put together a truly outstanding, I think, conference this year. I hope you've been able to attend some of the sessions and are enjoying them. I'd also like to thank the AFA committees for 2020. They play a critical role in moving the AFA through its many tasks throughout the year. AFECT, the Academic Female Finance Committee, which now is chaired by Manju Puri and vice chaired by Ingrid Werner. We have a new committee this year on minority groups. And we're taking a look at the role of minority groups within the finance profession and opportunities for minority groups within our profession. I'm grateful to Rowan Williamson of Georgetown, who has agreed to chair this committee. Laura Fields is on the committee, Gustavo Guillon, myself, and Heather Tukes. We've been meeting regularly. We'll be putting together a report for the profession soon. We welcome any of us input from any of you in the profession about how the AFA should be thinking about these issues and what it could be doing to enhance opportunities for minority groups within the finance profession. The Ethics Committee, which has been chaired by John Graham, the Investment Committee, chaired by Jim Schalheim, the Nominating Committee, chaired by John Graham. And now I'd like to turn things over to John Graham. He's going to give the program chair report for the meetings. That will be followed by a report from the Vice President, a report from the editor of the Journal of Finance, and a report from the Special Prize Committee. Thank you very much.
Hello. I'd like to tell you about the AFA program for 2021. If you look online, you can find the program report, in which I thank a number of people for their help this year in putting together the program. Let me name two people right now by name. First, Annette Clark, the AFA staff. She is such an enormous help in organizing and putting together the program. Thank you very much, Annette. This year, Laura Starks put together the poster sessions. Now, Laura herself had 5 individuals help her put together the poster sessions. Please look at the online report to give thanks to those individuals. There were over 1,700 submissions this year to the AFA program with about a 13% acceptance rate, which is right about what we had last year. Now, with such a low acceptance rate, that of course means a number of excellent papers didn't make it on the program, for which I'm sorry. But I am very happy with the quality of the program that our session chairs put together. Now, there are 65 regular paper sessions, so there are 65 paper session chairs that I'd like to thank for their excellent work this year and contribution to the AFA program. Well, you know, we have a day and a half left of the program as of the time of the business meeting this year. So there's a lot of the program you can still fully participate in, and I encourage you to do so. In addition to the 65 paper sessions, we have 10 special sessions this year. Special sessions are panels. 2 of them were sessions we held open until about 6 weeks ago that we just recently filled with papers on the COVID-19 crisis. 5 papers per session, no discussants to get a lot of content, fresh new content. One of those sessions already occurred, but you can watch on Monday a special session on COVID-19, macrofinance, and asset pricing. In addition, we had 6 panels this year, all right? 2 of those panels already occurred. Tony Whitehead chaired a panel on short-termism and corporate investment. Antoinette Shore chaired a session on shareholder capitalism in the 21st century. You can find links to both of those online, and I encourage you to watch them. There's still 4 panels left to occur, 3 of them on Monday. First one of those is a very important session on finance and race and the finance profession, chaired by Heather Tukes. That'll be at Monday at 12:15. This year, for the first time, we also have 2 sessions that are joint between the AFA and the AEA. One of those, they're both on Monday. One of those is chaired by Michael Greenstone, and that's on climate change and environmental economics. The second of them is a panel chaired by Marcus Brunemeyer on the COVID-19 crisis. Now, Marcus's panel has experts talking about COVID-19, which is different from the paper session I told you about earlier. Finally, there's one additional panel chaired by Toby Moskowitz that includes Cliff Asness and Ken Griffin on research challenges and opportunities in asset management. That'll be on Tuesday. Finally, we have the AFA lecture, this year delivered by Daron Asimoglu. That'll be on Monday at 3:45. The topic is very timely this year: the effects of automation on wages, inequality, and the future of work. Thank you very much for submitting your papers to the AFA. Thank you for participating this year in the program. Please submit your papers again this spring to the AFA 2022, which will be in Boston. And I hope very much to see you in person in Boston 1 year from now. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Laura Starks, Vice President of AFA. I would like to report on our program for the PhD students at the meetings. This year, instead of a special panel for the PhD students who receive travel grants, we had a virtual panel open to all PhD students. I would like to thank the panelists Harrison Hong, Heather Tooks, and Constantine Yannelis for the guidance and thoughts they provided for this PhD students. Also this year, we had a virtual poster session. We had 265 submissions and 101 were accepted. The students have made 10-minute audio presentations of their research, and I would encourage you, because there's still time, to go to the site and view their research and leave your comments to help the students. I would like to thank Sophie Calder-Wang, Erica Jang, Rebecca DeSimone, Gregory Wietzner, and Emmanuel Yimfor for reviewing the 265 submissions and selecting papers for the PhD session. Finally, I would like to introduce the AFA Ombuds, Francine Montemuro, who will provide you with more information about her role in the organization and how you can contact her. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Francine Montemuro. I'm the Ombuds for the American Finance Association. I've been an Ombuds in university settings for almost 25 years, and people often ask me what I do as Ombuds and how I can be of help. I think of the Ombuds role as an alternative problem-solving resource with confidentiality at the heart of the function. Absent an imminent risk of serious harm, all Ombuds consultations are considered confidential and off the record. That's important. It means the AFA Ombuds provides a safe space to discuss just about any kind of concern you might have regarding AFA core activities, or problems at your home institutions, or issues affecting the academic finance profession more broadly. While the AFA Ombuds role is still relatively new, there are some issues that are commonly heard by many Ombuds, including concerns about discrimination, harassment, research misconduct, and ethical breaches. Often, however, people consult with an Ombuds because they need a safe, confidential sounding board to think through a sensitive or complex work-related concern that has no easy answers. If you contact me, I'll spend a good amount of time just listening to you to make sure I fully understand your concerns, so that together we can evaluate the situation and develop possible options for addressing it. And ultimately, the decision as to whether to take action on any option remains yours. For an appointment, just send me an email requesting a time to meet by phone or video conference. You don't need to provide any identifiable or confidential information. To learn more, visit the AFA website. Thank you, and here's to a happy and healthy 2021.
Okay, I'm going to present the Journal of Finance Editor Report for the year 2020. 2020 was a busy year. We received a lot of submissions, total number of new submissions shown here in the purple bar at the top of 1,204 papers that were submitted to the Journal of Finance. In terms of turnaround time, things look pretty good. We had a median turnaround of 46 days in 2020, which was a little improvement over the previous years. And what's perhaps particularly important, the share of papers where the review process took more than 100 days dropped substantially to below 8% in 2020. So overall, the JF is very fast. In terms of first round statistics, the desk rejection rate was a little bit lower than in previous years, hovering around 30%. But not a big change compared with earlier years. In terms of the probability of a first round revise and resubmit, the number dropped a little bit to slightly below 8%. And we feel that this number is probably at the lower end of the range where it should be, So it's quite possible that we'll see an uptick in this number in the coming year. One thing that is also particularly important for authors is, if they get a revise and resubmit and eventually acceptance, how many rounds does it take until the paper actually is in the journal or through the process? And so the chart at the left here shows for all those papers that were accepted in 2020, how many rounds did it take until a paper was through the process? And about 50% of papers made it after just one revision, and about 90%, shown here on the right-hand side chart, made it after at most 2 revisions. So the number of revisions that are needed is fairly low. And I would also like to remind you at this point that we don't do reject and resubmits anymore at the JF already for several years. So there's no hidden round 0 here in these numbers. In terms of total articles, there was no change. We had the same number of articles, a little bit higher than 70 in 2020 than in 2019. But given the rise in submissions, it's quite possible that this number will go up in the coming years. Here are some numbers on citations. So the latest citation numbers are for the year 2019. And this chart shows the total number of citations. So how often a paper in a journal that was cited in 2019. And so the JF here in this ranking is number 2 after the AAR, ahead of Econometrica, JFE, and QJE. Here's the 2-year impact factor. So this tells you the average number of citations that a paper has that was published in 2017 and 18, and the citations are counted in the year 2019. And here the JF is number 2 after the QJE, ahead of the JFE, AR, and the JPE. And the same thing is true for the 5-year impact factor. So this 5-year impact factor looks at how often papers published from 2014 to 2018 were cited in 2019. And here the JF is also in 2nd place. So overall, the impact of the JF is really very good compared to the other finance journals and also the top 5 economics journals. For the first time this year, the Journal of Finance organized a conference. So we had a virtual conference organized jointly with the Farmer Miller Center at the University of Chicago. And we had a very tight deadline, or very tight window between submission and conference date, only 4 weeks, which was possible because it was a virtual conference. We received a lot of submissions, 140 submissions, and we selected 10 out of these submissions for the conference, which we ran in October over 5 days with 2 presentations and quite intensive discussion for each paper on each conference day. So this concludes my editor report. Let me take the opportunity here to thank the many people who help us in keeping the journal running. Most importantly, I would like to thank my co-editors, Philip Bond, Amit Zeru, and Wei Zhong, for putting in an enormous amount of work basically every single day for the journal. I would also like to thank our associate editors for their hard work in helping us find referees, advising us on decisions and so forth. And then the more than 900 referees that have helped us this year with their expertise for overwhelmingly with timely responses and high quality reports. And then finally, our assistant editor, Benny Washburn, who is doing a fantastic job keeping the journal running and managing the operational side of the journal.
Okay, I'm going to present the Journal of Finance Best Paper Awards for 2020. As in previous years, we have prizes in 2 categories: the Brattle Group prizes for papers in corporate finance and related areas, and the Dimensional Fund Advisors prizes for papers in asset pricing. Our selection procedure was the same as in previous years. We asked our associate editors to self-select based on their expertise to vote for one or both of these prizes, and then to nominate their top 3 rank-ordered papers from the December 2019 to October 2020 issues of the Journal of Finance. And then the editors made the final selection among the highest ranked papers. So let me start with the Brattle Group prizes. We have one Distinguished Paper Award for the paper Informational Frictions and the Credit Crunch by Olivier Darmouny. Another Distinguished Paper Award goes to the paper Risk Management in Financial Institutions by Adriano Rampini, Vish Viswanathan, and Guillaume Vilmet. And then we have a first prize award for the paper The Insurance is the Lemon, Failing to Index Contracts by Barney Hartmann Glaser and Benjamin Hebert. Let's turn to the Dimensional Fund Advisors prizes now. So there we have a Distinguished Paper Award for the paper YOLO, Mortality Beliefs and Household Finance Puzzles by Rolly Heimer, Kristin Milseth, Raphael Schirnle. And another Distinguished Paper Award for the paper Trading Against the Random Exploration of Private Information, a Natural Experiment by Mohammad Reza Bolad-Nassar, Robert Jackson, Wei Jiang, and Joshua Mitz. And then the first prize in the DFA category goes to the paper Declining Labor and Capital Shares by Simca Balkay. So this concludes our little prize award ceremony this year. Let me congratulate to our prize winners for their fantastic achievements. And let me also thank our donors for supporting this prize with an award of $10,000 for distinguished paper and $25,000 for first prize award. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is David Hirschleifer. It will be my honor to introduce the winner of the Fisher Black Prize and the newly inducted AFA Fellow. The Fisher Black Prize is awarded to a researcher under age 40 for a body of work that best exemplifies the hallmark of Fisher Black, developing groundbreaking research that is relevant to financial practice. We are grateful to the many generous donors for the prize. Please see the AFA website for their names. Here is a list of previous winners, all of them research stars. This year, I chaired the Fisher Black Prize Committee, whose members also included Ralph Coyen, Amit Saru, Laura Starks, and Dimitri Vianos. The winner was selected by a vote of the AFA board and the committee, excluding anyone with a conflict of interest. I'm delighted to say that the 2021 winner of the Fisher Black Prize is Matteo Maggiore of the Stanford Graduate School of Business. Matteo has done influential research on exchange rate dynamics, global capital flows, the international financial system, reserve currencies, tax havens, investor expectations, and much more. He is also research associate at the NBER and is a research fellow at the CEPR. I won't go into his other significant honors and professional recognition. Matteo will now say a few words in acceptance of the prize.
I'm deeply honored to have received the 2021 Fisher Black Prize, and I'm grateful to the American Finance Association for honoring my research. I'm particularly happy because the prize also recognizes progress made by the field of international macroeconomics and finance. This is a field that spans from exchange rates and currency risk premia to the role of the dollar in the US in the international monetary system, all the way to capital allocations by global investors and multinationals and the use of tax havens. These topics inform us on broader problems such as global financial crisis and the appropriate policy response, or problems of fairness and efficiency in global financial markets. Progress has been made on these topics by taking seriously the role of currency risk premia and imperfections in global financial markets, such as the limited risk-bearing capacity of global financiers. The field has become also much more empirical because for the first time we have data on who owns what around the world, allowing us to make progress by moving past the sole focus on prices, such as exchange rates and interest rates, to focus also on quantities. International has not always been at the core of finance, and therefore I'm very happy that the AFA recognized the progress made by the field. Progress made not just by me, but by my wonderful co-authors and an incredible set of young people making advances in the field. I've also been blessed with wonderful co-authors in other areas of my research, such as how do people discount over centuries, a question that is key to our understanding of climate change economics, or the questions of how people form beliefs and translate these beliefs into portfolio decisions. I'd like to conclude with a message to those of you who are just starting out in research, young assistant professors and PhD students. Take risks, do what you really want to do. Don't bother very much with the definition of fields or what is popular at the moment. Those things change, sometimes they change very rapidly. Do what you're really excited to do in research. I'd like to thank everyone again for their word.
I next turn to the appointment of the AFA Fellow. Candidates for the AFA Fellow were chosen by the AFA Nominating Committee, and the Fellow was selected by vote of the current Fellows. One indication of what it means to be selected as a Fellow is that about 1/4 of AFA Fellows have been Nobel laureates, and many Fellows are natural candidates for future Nobels. I'm delighted to announce that this year's newly elected AFA Fellow is James Paterba. Jim is Mitsui Professor of Economics at MIT and is currently NBER President and CEO. Jim is known for his research on how taxation affects the economic decisions of households and firms, including saving and portfolio decisions, and the role of tax-deferred retirement savings programs in contributing to retirement security. Jim has served as president of the National Tax Association, as vice president of the AEA, and a director of the AFA. He is a member of the National Academy of Sciences and a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and of the Econometric Society. I could talk at great length about his many other honors, but instead I'll say one more thing. Being selected as fellow recognizes research excellence, but Jim has also provided extraordinary service to the economics and finance profession as well. This includes long service as director of the NBER Public Economics Research Program, service on the President's Advisory Panel on Federal Tax Reform, decades of editing the Journal of Public Economics, and not least by his service leading the NBER. Jim will now say a few words about his induction as fellow.
I am incredibly grateful to the American Finance Association for this wonderful honor. It's particularly meaningful to me because much of my work has straddled the field of financial economics and public finance, where I've studied questions like the impact of taxation on dividend behavior and the role of savings incentives in encouraging household saving for retirement. And also using the tools of finance to understand how markets like the municipal bond market support the acquisition and the financing of public infrastructure. I have been incredibly fortunate to work with and be taught by a number of leading lights in the field of financial economics over the course of my career. I actually first met the CAPM in an undergraduate course taught by John Lintner on managerial economics. My early career influences, Marty Feldstein, Larry Summers, Mervyn King, all were public finance economists with deep interests in topics in the financial sphere and in financial economics in particular. When I arrived at MIT as an assistant professor, the environment was simply electric for studying financial economics. Paul Samuelson, Franco Modigliani, Bob Merton, Fisher Black, Stu Myers, John Cox were all part of the senior faculty crew at that point. Rick Ruback, who was a junior colleague in the Sloan School, Bill Schwartz did me a great favor by working and teaching me how to write a paper that was publishable in a finance journal. And then further afield, Myron Scholes and Mark Wolfson were doing exciting work that was bringing taxation into a whole range of different financial and other business decisions. On a visit to Chicago, I began to collaborate with Ken French in studying the valuation of Japanese stocks and also cross-border equity flows. Ned Elton and Marty Gruber recruited me as an associate editor for the Journal of Finance, and it was a great pleasure to work with them for a number of years in that capacity. It's been a remarkable odyssey with just amazing numbers of interesting questions and topics to work on. And I've enjoyed interacting with all the people, the colleagues, the co-authors, and the students who've gone on to pursue other questions in this field. Thank you very much for this wonderful honor.